right, well, we are here for the episode 2 review for Beyond the Gates. Now, it was brought to my attention last night by fans of soap operas who know the genre way more than I do. They let me know that typically soaps don't have traditional episode titles. It's just simply season and episode number. So I guess I'll just, do Beyond the Gates season 1, episode 2, and so on and so forth. Now, this episode, I want to give it another solid 7 out of 10. I think it was a great continuation of episode 1. And once again, more lore building, introducing us to new characters, different motivations. And while this episode definitely seemed to be yet another Danny focused episode in regards to her feelings regarding the Bill and Haley stuff, I think we're getting a couple of storylines involving secrets and betrayals. Now, when it comes to Martin, there might be something underneath the surface. Maybe he did something in his past that the family is afraid might come out, and ruin his career. Or when you look at the new characters, I believe Eva and her mother Leslie, they seem to be scheming, and I don't think anything is good going to come from that. But real quick, thanks for liking the first episode review. I think currently it's about 2,000 views. I'm not tripping because it's only been one day. I'm pretty sure, like I theorized before, some people are probably waiting to maybe binge week 1 on Paramount Plus. And as the week goes on and as the series hopefully gains more traction online, video views will continue to increase. But I took the time to, update the thumbnails on pretty much all my social media platforms to Beyond the Gates. So I'm going to try to go all in. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to try to get these reviews up the same day. I'm not always going to watch live. And on the days I don't, I will still get the reviews up the same day if possible. Now, you're not here for me to blabber on, but technically you are, because I'm here to talk about the show. And we're here to talk episode 2. Now, we start off in Dr. Nicole's office discussing with her assistant, who I do not believe we ever got the name for. She's cute, though. They're discussing candidates for the scholarship that her office gives out. And she talks about how difficult it is to choose because there are just so many different talented people who apply. And her assistant reassures her that, hey, don't worry about it. You always make the right choice. And Nicole's husband, I believe his name is Ted, comes into the scene to check in with her. And he gets the rundown about what occurred at the country club in episode 1. And that's funny because most of the episode is the character's reaction to what went down. And it's funny to see everybody having, different feelings about how things, went down between Haley and Danny. Pretty much everybody in the Dupree family understands why Danny did what she did. And it's kind of funny if you're a Sisters fan and you're watching this and you watch my reviews on that show, you have 2 female characters who have been ticked off by another person and they decided to assault that person in public. In Sisters, it was Danny slapping the coffee in Leonard's face. In Beyond the Gates, it was Danny slapping Haley in front of everybody at the country club. So I thought that was pretty funny. Like I said, if you're a Sisters fan and you watch my content, you get the reference there. Now, he's upset. It's kind of like Ted feels like the guy who's always absent from school and something goes down. It's like, yo, man, there was a fight. There was a fight in the gym, or there was a fight in the cafeteria. Like, man, come on, I had to go out of town. The one time I got sick. The one time I don't show up to school and everything happens. It's crazy. Now, from there, they discussed that Andre will be coming later by the hospital to, do different location scouting. So he could put together like a video for Nicole's award, which I'm mistaken. Well, actually, no, I wasn't mistaken, because in the last episode review, I talked about him taking photos, but that was for Chelsea. So he's a well-rounded individual who's going to help out the family. So that's pretty cool. And if you want to skip ahead, actually, when Andre does eventually get over to the hospital to talk with Nicole and Ted, I believe he is their nephew because Ted mentions how he reminds me so much of my brother, before he passed. So yeah, Andre is Ted's nephew, and sadly his brother passed away a while ago. So he's there for the family. So that's pretty cool. And we find out some different things about Ashley, and isn't it crazy how I did a post and I put up a video earlier today. I said, you know what? Episode 1, as soon as Ashley said, Derek, you're the only man I could ever love, I'm like, you don't say something like that, especially in episode 1 of a show, unless somebody in the relationship cheats. And we learned several things about Ashley. For one, her mom shows up, and it turns out she was a single mom raising Ashley to, eventually work into her dream job, which is at a hospital as a nurse. And she's also joined by Eva and Leslie, who Leslie mentions how they haven't known Ashley that long, several months they have, but essentially it's one of those situations where they could just tell you're a determined young woman and you're going to make it far. And Eva, is kind of jealous, like, I wish I could do what you do. I wish I had the drive you do. And she's like, don't shortchange yourself because you do hair. Like, I mean, that's an important profession in itself. And they brought her lunch, and I just love how Ashley seems to have a support system. Now, from there, they leave, and we see that Ashley is introduced to her trainer, who's going to be showing her the ropes around the hospital. And this is just after Danny arrives to the hospital to greet Ashley on her first day as well. Now, the trainer, pretty much breaks down everything that's going to happen as she's shadowing her throughout the hospital. And later on, when Andre shows up, they kind of have a little moment. And Andre mentions how, so are you still, in your relationship because Derek's, the handsome firefighter that stole you away from me. So apparently these two do have a past, but it just seems like Andre was more low key about his feelings towards Ashley. So they were never in a relationship, but he was certainly interested in her. But, Derek came along and, well, things didn't work out in his favor. Now, as he, walks off to go meet with his uncle and aunt, Ashley's trainer comes up and warns her, is like, hey, just be cautious about this one. He's attractive, but he's a player. You don't want to end up a little notch on his belt. But also, think about that handsome firefighter you got. And it's like, wait, how do you know about him? How do you know about Derek? Oh, it's just a hobby of mine. I like to know who I work with. So, probably just did a social media search. It's 2025. What do you expect? Now, this could lead to what I've been saying. Work husband. She gonna cheat. She gonna cheat. Now, even though we don't get much information on this, we go back to Eva and Leslie's home, and we don't know the exact situation, like what's going on, but they are planning something. Because interestingly enough, as they were leaving the hospital, Ted gets off the elevator and, goes up to Ashley to, go over some paperwork or whatever, probably on a patient. And Leslie was given a look like, does she know Ted? Do they have a past? What's going on here? Because, Ted just kind of passes them by. He's like, oh, excuse me, ladies, as he's getting off the elevator. Now, Eva is reassuring her mom that, hey, whatever you got going on, I'm in. And it's like, look, I don't want to put you in a situation that you feel uncomfortable in. She's like, no, don't worry about it. You're going to get back everything that you deserve or what you were owed. So I'm thinking, obviously, this is involving the Duprees. And given the fact that Leslie mentioned how her and Eva haven't really known, well, Leslie hasn't known Ashley for too long, it's almost like this could be a situation where maybe Leslie got Eva to become friends with Ashley, because Ashley, I believe, is friends with Naomi, who is the daughter of Danny, and of course is within the Dupree family. So this could be, a chess game where they're trying to infiltrate via pawns in order to work their way up to get to the king and queen of the set. So this could just be a revenge scheme. I don't know exactly what the moves are, but hey, it's only episode 2 and it looks like we got some mysteries to speculate about, and I'm all here for it. So moving on from there, we go over to the Dupree home. We get several scenes of Vernon and Martin just discussing the situation over at the country club. We get some good character development here. It's that even though Martin, is very appreciative of his grandfather and, not just everything he taught him from his dreams of being like his grandfather, but it turns out Martin is actually involved with the House of Representatives, so that's pretty cool. And the actor, of course, most know him as Malachi from Zatima. He gives a pretty good performance. He definitely gives that proper, the proper manner of speaking that comes across as someone who works in the political or legal field. You can definitely feel like he's a person with aspirations to be, higher than he is now. I believe the biography stated that he wants to be like the first openly gay first black openly gay president of the United States. So yeah, it definitely seems like every time he talks, it's like he's giving a speech at a political rally, but that's actually good because it feels like, hey, this guy is definitely embodying the role he portrays. I mean, keep in mind, he definitely seems to have modeled himself for the most part after his grandfather. So it makes sense that he would kind of, present himself in such a way to emulate how he saw his grandfather, not just in photos, but probably in video and whatnot. And it's also an interesting dynamic where there's almost a Martin Luther King in Vernon and Malcolm X and Martin in the way they approach situations, because while Martin is like, yeah, Aunt Danny really stuck it to Haley with that left hook, and Vernon's like, that's nothing to be proud of. It's because back in his day, he definitely settled things with the more non-violent method, whereas you could tell Martin's the kind of person where, like, he's not going to turn the other cheek, which is an interesting character, a character trait, considering that we don't know exactly when he came out, but there's no doubt he dealt with some forms of discrimination. So him just kind of rolling over the same way his grandfather did isn't going to fly with him. So I could definitely see some conflict with these two in the future on how to handle certain things. So Vernon actually, can tell that. So at the diner, you mentioned something about wanting more in life. Like, is there something going on at home? Like, what's going on? And, Martin doesn't really dive into it. He pretty much tries to keep up the front like everything is okay, which goes back to how he portrays the character, well-spoken, like, a politician. But those moments where he shows a bit of emotion or, he kind of drops the act and is stern, you can tell something really is eating him. He just doesn't want to get into the details. Now, from there, they also discuss the matter of Bill and the fact that Vernon sadly was unable to peg him as the con artist he was as easily as Anita did, because he wanted to give Bill the benefit of the doubt. And as a result, he was up and coming, attorney with a firm, but nobody really knew him, and vice versa. And with Vernon having a bunch of celebrity connections, he was able to take clients and recommend them to Bill. And from there, Bill built up his career and his ego. So I'm not blaming Vernon, but one has to wonder if Vernon helping Bill's career take off the way it did led to more success and, well, more clients and more opportunities. Do you think that the bigger his ego got, that's when Bill began to have affairs? So that would be pretty messed up if that were the case, with Vernon indirectly being partly responsible for the affairs because of Bill's success. Kind of in the same way that Danny felt guilty or, wrong because actually she feels blindsided and stupid because she was the one that told Bill, hey, give Haley a job at your law office. and that could have been the start of their affair. So man, that really sucks. And after that, we have Martin going back home, and we see that he's married to a man named Bradley, and they adopted two kids who are now teenagers. Samantha, who's 16, and there's a discussion of whether or not she's old enough to start dating. Which it's interesting how they have different parenting styles. Where Martin is like, you could tell he's a bit more stern, where Bradley is the more understanding one. I don't think his biography on the character listing shows what his profession is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's like a psychologist or something like that. And then you have Tyrell, who's 17, and they ask, they discuss his grades in calculus, and it's like he passed, but he's been exhibiting some sort of like, just repression, emotional issues, really closed off, and Martin feels like he's hiding something because when he was younger, he used to be like, secretive and wild. So maybe that's something, his son is dealing with as well. And later in the episode, Bradley is just trying to understand what's going on with Martin because he could tell he's stressed just by looking at him. And he brings up the fact that, you seem restless. Does it have to do with those dreams that, you never want to discuss with me? It's like, look, they're just dreams. And it's like, I don't really remember them. So Bradley feels like, Martin is closing him out. And after that, we have probably the most despicable person of the episode. And that's the fact that Haley, look, episode 1 was crazy enough with her optimism of, integrating herself within the community, despite the fact that she stole the husband of one of the most, liked individuals in the community. So, wow. But Haley calls Bill and says that, hey, I know I was supposed to be at the office, but I actually have a stop to make first. And Haley stops by Nicole's house asking for help to assimilate into the neighborhood. And thankfully, she was like, hell no. I ain't gonna lie, though. Haley had a huge tray of chocolate chip cookies. Now, I ain't gonna say I would have folded, but it's like, let me try one first just to see. It's like, do I betray my family? Or, okay, these cookies are so damn good. Like, I don't know. This is better than crumbles. So, Danny will get over it. No, I'm just kidding, people. It would have to be birthday cake or macadamia nut cookies for me to fold. Just so you know. But, yeah, it's just the fact that, like, Haley, she's adorable, but she's dangerous. Like, I don't really understand her way of thinking. Like, how exactly how did she expect this conversation to go? Hi, I know I was your niece's best friend, and I ended up getting involved with her dad, and me and him, our affair just turned into love, and then that led to him and your sister getting a divorce, and now we're not only getting married, but we're going to get married in the country club that your grandfather built, and we're moving right down the street in the same community as Danny and the rest of your family. But I'd really appreciate it if you help me, blend in with the community. What the? Haley, what you been smoking? Like, for real, what exactly? How did you think this would go? And she goes on to say, like, look, technically your sister did assault me in front of a bunch of witnesses, but I'm willing to let that go, and I just want to belong. And I'm thinking, no, you are not Hercules. This is not a Disney animated film. To feel like I belong. No. Just go on somewhere. Like, I don't know this isn't going to work. This is not going to work. So later on, she goes over to Bill's office, and he notices her red cheek, and she mentions what happened with Danny, and Bill's like, oh, heck no, let me make a call. I'm about to handle this. And Haley says, no, I don't want you to handle this. Let it go, because then I'll look weak. And I'm thinking, is it better to have a situation handled and look weak than to just let things happen? Because Haley, I hate to tell you, but Danny's not letting up, and clearly by the end of the episode, that's not the case. Her just letting it go. It's like, let her have this win. She's like, yeah, it's like I did take her husband and ruin her life and betrayed her daughter, but that one slap. Haley, this is not over. She is not done. And I'll get to what Danny told her mom earlier, but she is going to dedicate her life to making yours a living hell. This is not going to go by as like, look, Chris Rock. Danny is Will Smith. That one slap is not it. This is not going to be over. No. And she goes on to say that, I went over to Nicole's, but that didn't go well either. And Bill rightfully said, what were you thinking? I don't know. I just felt like if I could appeal to her because, she's like, oh, dang it. She said, what was like a therapist or something. Basically, she's civil. So she would be able to understand and whatnot. Like, no, sis before mistress. Come on now. That's just dumb. And she gets to the point where she doesn't even want to, have the wedding at the country club anymore because it's like, after getting slapped, I didn't just walk away. I stayed at the country club. I ate my little bagel with my head held high to hopefully gain some respect. I mean, call it respect, but don't nobody want to hang out with you. It's like you a wife stealer. A husband stealer. No. So from there, Bill pretty much says, like, what do you want to do? Because she's like, look, can we just go somewhere like Vegas or something? But it's like, wait, do you want to get married at the country club? Of course I do. Well, we're going to make that happen. But how? I don't have any family. Sure, there's Caroline, but she's on payroll. I think that's in reference to Caroline, the woman we saw in episode 1, who's like Bill's secretary or assistant, telling him that he has a lot of meetings lined up. So it's like, who are you going to invite? Like what? People from the firm, and that's it. And he says, you know what? Let me talk to somebody with some sense and see if we can make something happen. So Bill shows up at the Dupree home, and Vernon says, you're not welcome here, but he's like, come on, just a few minutes of your time. He comes in and basically says that Haley's all alone, and she wants this wedding to be good. So essentially what I want is for you to convince your family to come to the wedding. It's just one night. Come to the wedding. And Vernon rightfully says, you know how the women in this family are. How in the world are you expecting me to convince them? Hey, I know, look, Mr. Dupree, I know you can make it happen. And let's think of it this way, just to appeal to you. Think about all the favors I've done for your family to keep things under wraps. Have a nice one. And Vernon's like, oh, hell no. So, because I'm thinking to myself, man, come on now. Vernon has a better chance of milking gold from a cow than getting his family to go to the wedding. I'm just thinking to myself, Bill, you seem pretty capable. It seems you got money. Couldn't you just, I don't know, hire some seat fillers or something? Like, why do you want the Dupree family to be part of this? Dude got a plan. He's playing in their faces. Because, in the last episode, Danny was like, I bet you were the one that convinced Bill to, move here anyway. And it's like, given that she probably didn't come from much money, after she was introduced to the Dupree family via Naomi, she probably saw like, wow, I'd love to live in a neighborhood like this and one day get married in the country club and yada, yada, yada. So Bill is making it happen. However, he's probably doing this out of spite and being petty. Just thinking about that. Now, let me see if I missed anything. Actually, Leslie. Oh, actually, nope. Talked about that. All right. Well, the last thing to talk about here is the fact that, Danny is at her place and she's just, looking at wedding photos from, her big day. Her mom comes in and she just talks about how, like, I don't know what happened. Why did our marriage fall apart? Look at those photos, Mom. Love was in his eyes. And then, her mom snaps her out of it after she starts breaking down. And even though she's like, look, I'm not going to yell at you. And Anita, like, she just has a presence that commands the screen whenever she's on it. And whenever she talks, she doesn't have to yell. You could just tell by, like Danny said, I know I could just tell by the tone of your voice. And it's like, yeah, I understand sometimes people need to be, sucker punch, but I just don't want you to be in this rut forever. Like, the more you focus on it, the worse things are going to be for you. Whereas for Haley and Bill, they're just going to keep moving on in life. So you need to keep your head up and remember who you are. It's like, remember who you are, Simba. And from there, Danny's like, well, maybe I should just move. And she's like, you will not move. I kind of sat up in my chair like, oh, snap. She was like, you are not going to be run out of town by some miscreants after your grandfather built the first homes in this community. So what you're going to do is just, keep moving forward. And from there, be extra careful who you decide to bring into this family next. She's like, oh, no. Don't worry about that, mother. I'm not going to worry about, dating anything, or anything like that. I am going to focus on payback. And Anita's like, oh, this girl just don't listen. No. So at the end of the episode, that's when we see, after she takes some time to put on her makeup and pick out an outfit, Danny shows up to the office, takes Bill's golf club. I think my favorite part of this is the brother with the glasses. As soon as he saw the door open up, he knew, oh, hell no, let me skedaddle to the other side of the room. And then Danny has the golf club pointed in Bill's face. And to round out the episode, you got Anita arriving home, and Vernon mentions, the fact that Bill came over to invite us to the wedding. And they discussed this off screen, but it is brought up the next time we go over to the house that, Bill didn't say it in a threatening manner, but it's the fact that he's been in the family so long. He knows a lot of stuff that we can't let get out. So for the sake of the family, the priority is protecting Martin. And it's like, what? So I don't know if this is all connected. Like, Martin's restless demeanor lately, these dreams he's been having that's been, keeping him up at night or causing him to not sleep well. His thing about wanting more. And then the fact that when he was a teen, he was secretive and wild. Is it possible that Martin got into some stuff that Bill helped clean up? And in order to protect his, political and future political aspirations from the House of Representatives to the White House, they'll do whatever Bill wants so he keeps it quiet. So that could be possibly what's going on here. But aside from that, yeah, that's all I have for the episode 2 review. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, please like and subscribe. Remember, the bigger these videos do in terms of views and comments and likes, the more I know that, hey, the people want to hear what I have to say about this daytime soap. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.